This week's scenario is Recon 2 from the 2017 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have Killbox Artifice in effect, and consists of flags which can be controlled for 1 CP by solos, warcasters, and warlocks, rectangular zones which can be controlled by war beast, war jacks, warcasters, and warlocks, and an objective which can be destroyed for 1 CP. Victory conditions consist of winning 5 more control points than your opponent or caster assassination.
Hey, Warmachine here, and your eyes are not playing tricks on you. That is me playing Legion. I think one of the keys when you're picking up a new faction is to maybe not try to reinvent the wheel, and so we're playing a Fyanna list that's been popularized on the tournament circuit. I think a couple of different well-known Legion players have played this list. But it highlights a lot of very fast mobile beasts that can hit very hard, usually charge for free, and have a feat that, if used correctly, can really put you a leg up on a scenario or even a board presence. A lot of people I've heard early on with 2017 SRs have said they didn't really think scenario was in play. I would beg to differ, and even running lists that don't have any infantry still allow you to have a chance to win on scenario. So my plan when I play this list is to always trade up in your pieces, because you've got 12-point Neraphs and that take a dedicated heavy usually to kill, and then you're going to be able to take whatever they use to kill it back. So we'll see how it goes.
Alright, so I went second. And this is kind of a take on my Xekaar list. Well, it's mostly my Xekaar list, except for I have added the Keltarii and the Tyrant Commander in Standard. The idea behind the thought process was that with 2017 being a, where you kind of had to come with a mixed bag of beast, solos, infantry to score points, I went with this build, which is still predominantly Titan heavy. The Shaman's in there to kind of do a spam for the Titan Gladiator's rush. Then the Keltarii, the Tyrant Commander are supposed to kind of work as a combined package, for the +2 speed and stand up. So let's see how this all works out.
Legion turn 1. So one of the first observations I've made switching into Legion as a faction is that, my God, not only are they hard to place on the table, but they're hard to transport. So wings for days, they're just always in the way. But what I'm going to try to do here is I want to get up the board. Winning the roll to go first with this is a huge boon in this matchup. So I want to make use of, Slipstream from the Seraph. I want to get pieces up the board as fast as possible. One of the nice things about playing Oracles, of course, is that you get all these free support pieces that allow you to do things like charge free if you're within 8 inches of those Hellions. I really have 2 super hitters in the list with those 2 Angeliuses. I want to kind of protect them a bit. If I'm going to give up something early, I don't want to give up a Neraph. So that's kind of like where I'm at in that situation. As we move up here and I'm setting up for this, I'm kind of trying to make it so that if Pokey comes in, I'm going to be able to get multiple plays onto him. I'm setting this guy up here so I can slipstream him out from behind the forest and get charge avenues. And my plan, of course, is going to be with, this is kind of a control caster. What I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to feat on my next turn. So the idea is hopefully I'll be able to get alpha attacks into his army and then turn around and feat. So where his, attack backs aren't going to be nearly as effective. A piece that doesn't get a lot of talk about in this list that I think is really pretty good is this Bloodseer. He being able to have an additional slipstream, being able to pass out an additional Wraithbane, and frankly being able to shut down spellcasting can come in big.
Alright, turn 1. like a lot of other factions out there, Legion is quick. It's a fast list, and this list I think was especially built for speed. Having the Angels and the Seraphs or Neraphs or whatever those things are. It's a good list, but my list, the intent for this list is to use the sentries, move them up the field, get them in a place to where they're going to kind of cause issues for him, and also use the Keltarii, seeing as how they're not really going to be too much good for me in this matchup, because I need beasts or jacks to control or my caster. So I took the Tyrant, Commander, and Standard. I moved them forward. Well, I had them push the limit on the Keltarii and then advance. Then the Keltarii took the run charge order, and they ran. And as you can tell, being speed 9 really gets them up the field, and I was able to get some locking in his beasts, with the secondary row sitting back there, hoping that I can use them to help tie up that zone a little bit. So then my caster activates, he moves up, he puts Rush up on both of the sentries, and then the first sentry tramples forward, and then does his Animus of Henri, which, if you don't know what that is, allows, if he takes a hit, he gets to hit somebody back. So the Shaman then activates. The Shaman moves forward. Well, he goes and he puts Rush up on the Cannoneer. He then advances forward. I was trying to see if maybe he could potentially shoot the one of those bird people, but unfortunately, too far away. Well, couldn't see him through the forest. So the Cannoneer advances forward, getting in base to base with the Sentry. Does Far Strike, shoots out, and is able to kill off the one lady. Which half the plan, that's half of the initial plan, because there's one more on the other side I need to get rid of. So that means he's now going to have to move her a little more central to use them. The Beast Handlers move forward, and they move forward, and they basically condition, remove all the fury from that I had on there, especially from the Cannoneer. So then the other sentry advances, puts Henri up on itself. It tramples, and it does Henri. And then the Gladiator just kind of moves forward. Second unit of Beast Hunters move forward, and the Willbreaker moves up and puts Hardened Flesh up on my caster. Originally it was supposed to be Puppet Master on the Cannoneer, but it's a little too early yet for that.
Alright, we got Legion turn 2. So the first thought that I have after Pokey's turn is, man, I kind of misplayed and gave up that Hellion a little bit too easy. You'll see, and as the game goes on, they're not super integral to the list, but they're definitely helpful. And I definitely did not want to give that away, so kudos to him for taking him out. Alright, he's also jammed me up with this really fast infantry. So I've got to kind of plan out my turn. I know part of my turn is going to be involved forcing beasts down there, so I want to get my shepherd in place. But now I'm going to kind of go into the tank, and what I'm trying to figure out right here is what's the best way to clear off this infantry, get my feet used to maximum efficiency. I know I'm going to get at least 2 of my, I'll just call them birds, 2 of my Neraphs or birds onto his heavies. What I'm hoping to do is take out, a sentry or 2, because with Fury you hit really hard. I have order of activation issue in that I'm moving Fyanna first, because I want to make sure I get that angel into the forest so he can charge through, no longer being blocked by line of sight, and using that 4-inch reach, maybe clear out a couple infantry. But the main goal here is I want to be able to clear off infantry, send things forward, feet, and still have pieces that can trade on his much more armored and heavily muscled beasts than my own after my feet's gone. One of the interesting things about Fiona's feet is that, Skorne is going to be boosting to hit your stuff anyways. So it's kind of like, you know, it doesn't change how he maths his problem out. The idea hopefully is that he misses and a couple dodges pop up, and you know, you're sitting really pretty at that point. So Fyanna did some work. She cleared out a couple infantry. She gives overtake, so she backed a little bit out of the way, make room, and again, what I'm gonna try to do is clear enough of this infantry out of the way that when I send my beasts forward under the feet, they're going to be in a position where I'm dictating what is he attacking back. I only have one Hellion now, so this Hellion is now repositioned to make sure everything's charging for free. This Neraph is going to come, and one of the nice things about Neraphs is, you know, obviously after they hit, they have sustained attack, but they just have a nice mat to start with, mat 7. I mean, it's pretty sweet. So I'm just kind of hard rolling some rolls here, trying to hit his guys, overtaking into them, and you know, one Neraph is able to clear off a pretty good path for my guys, and use the last overtake to back out of the way a little bit. So I'm kind of clearing up a path. I'm kind of looking at his stuff. I'm not exactly certain on the math on if I rate to kill those sentries, for example, in his list. So I'm kind of going through the motions of, you know, what am I going to be able to have still in position for after these fights. But we're going to go find out what this Angel can do. So Angel comes in, armor piercing attack, and this is, I guess, since I've been playing Legion, some of the more dice spiky events that you can have is the armor piercing attack from your Angel. Ideally, you'd love to be able to get Fury on Angel, really make it hurt, but Fury on the Neraph really does a number. So I think we're just going to try to do as much damage as we can. And the idea is hopefully I can get second Angel on there if that one's still around. I do feel like one Gladiator is not going to kill 2 Angels on my feet turn in reprisal. So that's the kind of the thought process. And again, you see what this does is it pushes the lines forward. My caster in the back, so we're not going to be having that type of an issue. I'm now slipstreaming out that Neraph. The Seraph gets 3 shots to try to clear some more infantry. Not a whole lot else he can do with those POW 12s. He's not only going to hurt his beast, so I'm just trying to kill a little bit of his support pieces. And really, this is the most important turn for a Fyanna player. If you don't get work out of this particular turn, it's going to be really an uphill struggle at that point. So Neraph number 2 has gone on to the other sentry. You see the Angel left the other sentry alive. So we're, I believe, going to have to extend more resources than we had hoped to kill these guys. But, you know, they are quite heavily armored and lots of hit point beasts, so it should take a lot to kill them. Again, I charge, whenever I use the Neraphs, I charge with the sustained attack. And then the rest of the attacks are just rolling damage. So this guy's hitting at POW 18s with his head. So I rolled straight dice, didn't boost damage. My rule of thumb, and I don't know if it's the same for anybody else, but my rule of thumb is if you're dice down 4, you boost. Dice down 3, I think you roll and try to get a little bit lucky, spiky maybe. So now I've positioned the other guy using the Bloodseer, and the red Neraph is going to try to finish what the yellow Neraph started. And much to my chagrin, after all these attacks, there's still a sentry sitting on the table. And anybody that's played Hordes knows that a beast with 1 hit point, as far as your offensive turn goes, might as well be at full health, because he's got the ability to heal him and go to town. But so at this point, I'm kind of relying on my feet. 2 Angels on a sentry, though. I'd be very upset if that doesn't kill him. So this Angel's job now to take that sentry off the board. So it didn't do it on the armor piercing attack, so probably a little nervous and dicey at this point. I believe, yep, the last attack is able to take him out.
Turn 2. I'm down 1 sentry, but it's okay because I still have my other sentry and my Gladiator. Would be nice if I still had the other sentry, because that means I'd have something else that could beat on these guys. But that's not the case. Most of the Keltarii are dead. I think I'm down to 1 Keltarii, and he's probably going to go up there and sacrifice himself to try to keep him from scoring on his turn at the end of this turn, because that's when control points would get started. So thank goodness for parry, because he's going to move up, and he's going to swing on whoever's the lowest defense. Because, well, I don't want him to dodge out of the way. But it's okay, because I just did a standard advance, and I'll be able to advance up afterward, even if I missed. Because I have reposition 3. Now, the Tyrant Commander, he puts a March on himself, which is the order he has that gives him Pathfinder, and then he charges the gribbly little beast, and he ends up missing. Not good. So now it's a matter of trying to figure out what can I do to hopefully get around what he's done to me. And right now I'm not 100% sure, because his feat is pretty good, especially with the higher defense beasts that he has. So I'm going to end up spending a lot of time trying to root through my turn to try to plan it out, because I know I want to take my caster around. I want to take my caster around to target, what is that, the purplish blue angel, and swing on it and hopefully put hopefully end up putting up mortality on it. But I'm also trying to figure out if there's a way I can get my Cannoneer up there to potentially take a shot at his caster. If I could figure out a way to take out that yellow Neraph or whatever it is. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do, because Warmachinist tucked his caster in just far enough in to where I can't get around it. So that's kind of not a good plan at this point in time. So we'll go back to the other plan, which is try to take out the angels and hopefully weather the Neraph, Seraphs, whatever those things are. Because a lot of his other stuff is sitting on the background, sitting behind the forest. So I'm going to start with, go back to my plan of working the, trying to kill off, try to kill off the angels. I guess my thing is I'm trying to figure out who can, where does he have to go, who does he have to see, and everything else. Can I get him up there to block? Can I get him to come in, swing on the one angel? Because I do have reach, so swing on the one angel to allow my witch mark to work off the barbed whip, and still leave room for the Gladiator to charge in after the fact. Because if I get mortality up plus my feet, well, my feet really doesn't do too much, but I'm really kind of hoping that the mortality will help the Titan Gladiator help him hit. So I think I hit him like once or twice, inflicting minimal damage, if any at all. Yeah, that's just for my caster. And then the Willbreaker moves up, puts puppet strings on the Titan Gladiator. Because now my entire turn is going to be trying to figure out what to do about these angels. And trying to get the Gladiator to the point to where he can do something. So the blue unit of Beast Handlers, they activate and advance, and they hand out Enrage like candy. It's trick or treat time. Titans are getting some Enrage candy, and then it leaves me with the blue unit. The blue unit did Enrage, and the caster also ended up healing up the Sentry, because the other Sentry was severely wounded, sitting on like 6 boxes or something along those lines, something crazy low. So I get him to move in, and he goes base to base with both of those beasts because I don't want him to dodge completely away if I end up missing him. So I do my initial swing with the halberd on the yellow lizard, and then the other two swings are on the blue one, and then I just start buying attacks. Then the Cannoneer, who's supposed to be shooting, but isn't, so it's coming in to do some swings on the yellow guy, who is not inside the feet. So that means does not benefit from dodge and does not, well, he moved him out from the first dodge. Moved him out, and the Cannoneer was able to finish him off outside of the control range, so it didn't benefit from the defense buff. And then the Gladiator is now going to charge, which he will end up charging for free due to the Beast Handler being base to base. One thing, because I didn't bother to ask, and he, and War Machinist thought I knew, was that I forgot that there was apparition on the Blue Angel, the light blue one that you saw move. So there was no further bot swings on that one. So the Titan Gladiator came in, finished off the one angel like it was supposed to, and now I'm using the white beast handlers to block lanes to my caster and to hopefully tie up some of the other angel.
Alright, you got Legion turn 3. So, did I have a feat turn? I mean, it's kind of debatable. I feel like, so I got so happy that he finally missed an attack, I dodged my guy out of the feat. Now, that's pretty funny. And that cost me a Neraph for certain. Killing the angel, that was unfortunate. But like I said, Skorne's going to boost the hit as it is. So now I'm in this situation where I have a ton of fury out, right? Because I've been passing around like crazy. You have to make a couple checks, but him killing the beast actually, of course, saved me a couple fury checks. But so this guy's gonna frenzy. He's gonna attack the Sentry, and I don't think it's enough to kill him if I recall correctly. But so I've got some pieces left here, and I've got his caster in a little bit of a precarious position. So my goal on this turn right here is going to be to apply as much pressure as I possibly can. See if I take out any more of his beasts and see what I can do about trying to bring this game in to a position where he's got to make some real tough decisions. So I did get kind of lucky that Naga didn't frenzy, for example. I've got some options, a couple heavies left, and really at this point what I want to do is he's got a lot of fear on his beast, so my thought is if I can bring this Forsaken into bear, that ought to do some damage. I've really come to appreciate the Forsaken in their role with Legion, what they've kind of done both in fury management and in a situation like this where they just come up and roll a whole bunch of dice at POW 8 and can really actually do some damage to some of those beasts. I really, coming from playing trolls, I always prioritized killing those guys, and it wasn't but a couple times you have to lose like a mold or like take 15 damage to your Mountain King before you really come to respect those little Forsaken. So Forsaken did his thing. He didn't really take anything off the table, just did some more damage, but we're back into a situation of strength. Now he's got one guy still jamming me up over here. I want to get my other Forsaken into the game. So I'm thinking of the best way to take him out, and I just basically decide, I guess I'll just use Forsaken's other ability and boost a hit. So that Forsaken decides to melee the last guy jamming me up. So what are my options right now? I've still got some fury. I'm still contesting the zone. I'm basically going to clear the top zone, and I can think about starting to try to jam him out of that zone and trying to win this on scenario. I can pretty much take his objective out at any time. he can't really get to my objective. If I can continue to stay behind that forest on the bottom zone and contest, right now I've got Fyanna on a flag in the zone that I feel I'm gonna have cleared. So that's kind of my thought process. So I've got two goals right now, and one is to clear the zone, and the other one is to see what type of damage I can do to that Gladiator. So that's where we're at. And what I want to make sure I'm doing when I do this, I want to make sure that I'm still leaving myself a beast that I can get Fury on, because at the end of this turn, I'm going to be starting to lose the attrition battle as far as heavies, especially if I don't take out his Gladiator. So the Neraph did not exactly light the world on fire with his attacks over here, which really puts me in a bind, because at this point I'm convinced that I need to score this zone, right? So I'm out of attacks. He's still got his guy there in the woods, kind of behind that light blue angel. So at this point, you know, you always make these plans. At this point I'm trying to like rethink, okay, how do I still do what I want to do, which is get attacks into that gladiator and kill the guy that's contesting my zone. So that's kind of where we are right now. And I think this time I did try to use the Seraph to actually throw some boosted PAL 12s into that Gladiator. Now I'm not exactly certain what I thought this was going to do, but maybe freeze the Gladiator. I guess I killed a support guy behind him. So alright, that's right, there was one guy touching the zone back there. So this Angel now is going to split the difference and attack both the Gladiator and the guy that's in the zone. So armor piercing attack on the guy, the Gladiator, and then kill the by attack, kill the guy in the zone. So at least we cleared the zone. We're not exactly gonna do enough to that Gladiator to make him go away. So at this point I want to get things in between my caster and anything that could possibly bad happen. So that's kind of where we're at. We almost accomplished what we wanted, but it wasn't exactly in the order that I was hoping for.
Turn 3. I am down now 3-0 on my control points. Unfortunately, that means that I now have to figure out how to start scoring points or lose via scenario. I'm shocked. Well, not really shocked. I guess it's a nice little surprise that I did not lose any more Titans. But then again, the feat does kind of stop a lot of that from happening. And right now, I'm talking to Warmachinist, and he's letting me know that if I could kill off whatever that blue guy is, or the red guy, kill off that red guy that's in front of the Sentry, that I should be able to have the Willbreaker run over and start scoring me, at least score me a point. Because as it sits right now, that if I end my turn, Warmachinist will have his 4th and 5th point, because he controls the upper zone with a beast, and his caster is touching the flag, so that's 4th and 5th point, and I'd still be seeing a 0, and I will need to do something to stop that. So the plan is to take the beast handlers, have them do what they need to do for conditioning purposes and for enraging purposes, and hopefully try to get them to where they're going to be able to do some damage. So the Shaman needs to move up a little bit, because he is... My thought was I could have him stand still, get an aim bonus, and put rush up on the Gladiator, and then boost on the blue guy. Well, get the aim bonus, but unfortunately I was just out, so I'm going to have to put rush up on, move up, put rush up, and then boost it to hits on the blue guy. No, I'm sorry, it's the Shepherd. Not the Shepherd, the Forsaken. Sorry. It's Legion. I'm not 100% on them. But it was the Forsaken. It was hiding up behind the trees. So now I'm taking the Sentry, who is going to move up and around, staying in the front arc of the one of the red bird, trying to get close enough to the blue one. And then I'm just going to buy and boost attacks because I just need to kill off the blue one, I mean the red one, because the red one's the last one that's going to stop me from scoring. And looks like he has about 9 points left. And there's also an angel that's in my way that I really want to get Witch Mark off on. I mean, Mortality. So I come in, I boost it to hits, I hit it to do some light damage. I then put up Mortality, and then I buy another attack. Buy 2 more attacks, it looks like. Because if I can kill that one off, that means that the Gladiator can then walk over and try to take out the other bird that's up there. And then, but before I do that, the Cannoneer comes in, once again, forgetting that he has a gun. The Cannoneer goes, I got a gun, but I'll just use it as a club. So he goes in, clubs the guy to death. That makes 2 for 2 for him. He finishes up with the Sentry starts. And then the Gladiator activates. He walks around, taking a free strike from the Angel. Doing not a whole lot of damage. I mean, he did some damage, but not a whole lot. And so he walks up there, getting behind the Angel. And with some bad dice rolls, I end up missing, I think, my first one. So I hit him with the second one. And then I just start swinging on the other guy. And I'm pretty sure I failed to kill him here. But we'll see. We'll see in a minute, because I'm pretty sure he's still alive. Yep. So I was like, one of those things that you're like, I probably should have boosted all this stuff. And now I have the white beast handler that is left. He is going to have to run up to contest the flag. I've already got the Gladiator in the zone to contest the zone. So the white guy, he moves up and contests the zone for me.
Legion turn 4. So at this point, I feel like we've put enough scenario pressure that it forced Pokey to overextend. He's got his caster up into the mix. It took all of his fury to take off that last beast. So really, the option to win by scenario is a bit out at this point. We'd have to kill the Gladiator and the Paingiver. I want to keep that as a backup. I want to keep stuff in between my caster and his caster, so if things go south, I'm still putting that scenario pressure on him. I am out of range to collect fury from some of my beasts. I'm running on some frenzy checks. The nice thing about these Forsaken, like I said, they're multifaceted. He's going to be able to take the remaining fury off of that Neraph so that I can have a full fury loaded Neraph to go after his caster. Due to flight, I can go flight right over top of that Gladiator and get his caster in combat. I've got fury on him, so if I hit, it's going to really hurt. So really, the idea here is you come boost your attack with your the tail, make sure that hits, and then you just hit him with the head a couple times and it's over. That's the plan. I left myself a couple backups. At this time, I have a Seraph and a Naga that can also charge them. I'm getting the Hellion, I guess, a little bit out of the way to clear the zone a bit. And at this point, I'm going to fly over this guy. He's been healed by the Shepherd. And I'm going to promptly miss my boosted sustained attack. So now I'm left with, okay, I can buy and boost one more attack, or I'm going to boost the head. And so that's what you do. We hit with a boosted head attack, and we're pretty much out of stuff at that point. So he's still alive. I did leave a couple backup plans, and the first backup plan I'm going to try is the Naga. And I've switched free over to the Naga. Spell Martyr should leave the table. But Naga's not really made for melee, but you know what? Boosted attacks still work, and Legion's able to pull it out. Hope you guys had fun. Hope you learned something. I'm still learning how to play this faction, so bear with me, but we'll get some more games on here soon. Take care.
Alright, not the ending I thought I was going to have there. I guess going into my plan, I had the plan that I was going to be able to do certain things. And by the time I finished with the plan, I realized I left the hole there. So, good for Warmachinist. He's a good guy to play against. Tough opponent. Normally doesn't play Legion, but he's, you know, branching out to some of the other factions out there. And I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure if I would have really changed much, except for I probably wouldn't have bought so many attacks. I probably would have sat on a couple transfers, forcing Warmachinist to have to deal with either the Gladiator sitting in the zone, or come over and, you know, start really working the scenario heavier than he already was. I mean, unfortunately, it was a minor mistake on my part for leaving myself bare like that. I guess I got maybe a little greedy, but you know, I didn't quite see it until after everything had come through. So it was still a good game. Hope you enjoyed it.